Anderson Silva, Conor McGregor. Okay, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Do I need to back up a minute? Conor McGregor comes out a week ago and does a greatest of all time pound for pound list. He put Anderson Silva at number 1. Then he kind of backdoored it a little bit and said, hey, in truth, perhaps I am actually number 1 because I did the champ thing. He made his own case. He shined his own wheels, but I did feel that he put Anderson over, including himself. That was my interpretation. I thought he was very nice to Anderson. Wasn't as nice to everybody else, but I thought he was very nice to Anderson. My own opinion. Apparently, Anderson didn't agree. Now, that could have been lost in translation by the time it got back to Anderson. And perhaps Anderson didn't give a damn. And if you guys will recall, Anderson Silva called out Conor McGregor a long time ago. And it even made Anderson look bad in many ways. Conor was fighting 145 pounds. Anderson said, I'm going to whip this guy's ass. And it had to do with Jose Aldo, who Anderson is very close with. And it had to do with some of the buildup, the favela, some of the Brazilian talk as a whole. But large part of that pie was just specifically to one of Anderson's disciples in Jose Aldo. I'm going to beat this guy up. Let's find a weight class. We'll make this out. I'll come all the way down to 170. And Anderson was serious. He was hot. He was really hot. Anderson doesn't really get hot. Even if he's mad, he does a good job of hiding it. Stays real professional and nice. He was not nice. He was upset. Now, that was a number of years ago, but fast forward, the next time that Anderson Silva and Conor McGregor are said in the same paragraph, it was said and written by the author of Conor McGregor. Anderson used that as an opportunity to call Conor out. And Anderson laid out the details in addition to all of that. Right? I mean, he laid out a weight class, 177 pounds. I believe Anderson said 176 pounds, but as you know, if you agree to 176, it becomes 177. Calculated move on Anderson's part. But when Conor McGregor's competing at 170, you're talking about another 7 pounds. It was worth throwing it out there. Conor accepted. Now, this is on social media. And before you go, well, that doesn't mean a whole lot, I would pump the brakes right there. These are two guys that if I'm in Dana's spot, and that's what you guys have to do, right? You have to put yourself in Dana's spot. It doesn't really matter what these guys want. What does Dana think about it? I must tell you, at any other time, we'd brush this away, and I'm probably not even talking to you about it right now. But we're in a different time. There is some weird things going on. Dana is not in too weird. If you asked Dana about a fight, and you had to break it down to one word, the one word that fight must be for Dana to sign off is interesting. He will actually use that word. If you bring him an idea and he looks at you and goes, interesting, that means yes. If he gives you any other word than the word interesting, it means no. He may not even know that about himself until I just said it right now, but that's what it comes down to, okay? That fight is interesting. And I do think in any other time there's nothing to see here, but the mere fact that these two guys agreed to fight, you look at the landscape of it and go, okay, Conor, what are you doing right now? Are you just the freak show guy? Is that what you are? You just into freak show, weird one-off fights that are a really big deal and cool and make headlines? Because if you are, that's okay. But if that's what we're using you for moving forward, we might as well just steer into it and get on with it right now. And this is certainly a freak show fight. Anderson, you have made it very clear that you have 2 fights left on your contract and you plan to do those 2 fights. And if we're going to use up one of them, why the hell not? Right? I mean, right? It's one of those things where I'm not sure in this time that if these 2 guys come in honorable, this is about a grudge, this is about a beef, this is about what you said to Jose Aldo, yeah, well, this is about what you said about me. If it comes in honorable, here's my contract, I don't know what his contract is, let's bring the 2 together, tell me where to sign off. If they come in honorable, not a scumbag move, not the Ngannou, John Jones type move, they come in honorable, I think that fight might happen. I can't be any stronger than that. If this is a buy or sell moment, I don't know that I'm telling you I'm buying, but I'm telling you I'm not selling. I'm holding, man. I'm hedging the bet on that one because there's ways you could do it. How does that hurt Conor? How would it hurt Conor to go into a crazy weight class? This is a 145-pound, 2-time champion, interim champion, undisputed champion at 145. He passes over 55. He even passes over 70. He damn near goes to middleweight. How does it hurt Conor? And that's a fair question that you would ask, right? If you're the promoter, you do have to look at shelf life. Don't look at, okay, Anderson Silva's coming in He says he's going to do 2 more, but this could well be the last one. In fact, if he loses to a 45-pounder, let me just tell you right now, this is his last one. So you're not looking to necessarily help that. I mean, this is just the way the business works, but you do got a shelf life over here by Conor. So what is the damage on Conor? I would put it as low as nothing. Would you guys agree with me? I think some of you would. And even those of you that want, what do you put the damage at? Put it in percentage. 1 to 100. What do you put? 15%? 8%? What is the damage in being the best 45-pounder alive, a top contender at 55, passing over welterweight, going into a weight class that doesn't even exist, but it sure sounds a lot like middleweight to me? If you don't make 170 pounds and you're not more than 185, the commission says you're a middleweight. What bad would come from that? Then you go look at the fight. Boy, we got some talking points there. Old Anderson Silva, of course he cleans him up. And not even because Anderson's that much better of a fighter. Conor McGregor's a fantastic fighter. I would even argue that 145 pounds, 155 pounds are better weight classes than 185 pounds. I was the king of 185. I'm telling you right now, from the horse's mouth, 45 and 55 pounds is harder. Those guys are better. So I'm not necessarily saying that, but there is 3 things that you have to look at in a fight, particularly because this would be a stand-up battle. Neither one of them is going to take the other one down. Neither one of them possesses the ability to take the other one down. Okay, great. We got a kickboxing fight with 2 very fun and dynamic kickboxers. But there is 3 things you have to look at, okay? Speed. You have to look at power. And you have to look at reach. Now, you can give up any one of those 3 things and be just fine. If you give up 2 of them, you have a problem. Conor's going to be giving up reach and Conor's going to be giving up power. I don't know that he's giving up speed, but he is going to have a problem going into that match. That's if you roll the footage. I don't know that you can look at a 44-year-old Anderson Silva and necessarily rely on what you saw from the footage. I don't know that you could do that. I think you would have a little bit of a question, man. Can this guy coming back off an injury, off a big layoff, spending time, kind of reverted a little bit to coach, which is an awesome thing, by the way. His son's now 19 or 20. Last time I saw his son, he was 12 years old. Last time I saw him face-to-face, he's 12 years old. Now, he's in the ring taking on grown men. He's a grown man. I would only suggest for you, what has he been doing in that off time? That's certainly going to be a main event. You got 5 rounds there. I mean, you're going to have people, I'm just telling you, you go any way you want. Say Anderson's going to kick his ass. Okay, fine, but as this fight gets a little bit closer and you start to see the line, I don't know that the line is going to agree with you. I mean, there's something to see there. How is Anderson going to respond? His first time down to 176 pounds, depleting his body. I mean, talking points are never going to end. That's an interesting fight. Conor did just fine standing up with the greatest stand-up fighter that's ever been born. Went 30 minutes with him and won a whole bunch of rounds. Just saying, that's a really interesting fight. For me, the question is, does Dana believe that's an interesting fight? Are these guys coming to the table honorable? I have a contract already signed. Now we move on to the bout agreement. They come in honorable, you just might have a fight.